Welcome to the Joy of Music. My name is Diane Bish, and I would like to invite you to join us today as we take you on a musical journey of Italy. History comes alive as we visit ancient towns and cities, famous museums, homes and buildings, masterpieces of art and architecture, and of course, music from the inspiring churches and cathedrals of Italy. Thank you for joining us. Padua and its province are among the liveliest and most dynamic areas in northeast Italy. One of the most famous institutions in Padua is its university, known for its anatomical theater and of course for its famous professor, Galileo, who taught here in the 17th century. Padua has a great artistic and cultural tradition and possesses famous monuments such as the university, one of the oldest and most renowned in Europe, the Scrovegni Chapel, dating back to the 13th century with its beautifully preserved Giotto frescoes, and the Basilica of St. Anthony, which attracts visitors and pilgrims from all over the world. In addition, the many chapels, monastic orders, and churches built by the monastic orders endow Padua and the surrounding areas with a deeply spiritual character. In our musical journey of Italy, we travel from Padua to the small, picturesque village of Noale. In the ancient town of Noale, situated 25 kilometers north of Padua, we find the church of Saint Felice e Fortunato. A castle once stood here, but now the church has taken its place, and is situated between the ancient medieval clock tower and bell tower. The church holds a Ruffatti organ built in 1970 of 2 manuals and 27 stops. A tour of Italy would not be complete without a visit to one of the most famous cities of the world, Venice. Known worldwide for the romance and beauty of its waterways and canals, the city contains treasures of art and architecture unmatched in the world. St. Mark's Square and Basilica, the Grand Canal, museums and galleries, all are a feast to those who appreciate all that which is fine and beautiful in life. All this and more in the city on the islands, Venice. What would Venice be like without a gondola ride on one of the famous canals, the most well-known being its Grand Canal? Lined with palaces and buildings in the Venetian Gothic style, this great road of water is filled today with gondolas, vaporetti, and motorboats. And most of them are filled with tourists and people enjoying the parade of amazing sights. At midpoint is the famous Rialto Bridge, lined with shops of every kind. We can assure you there isn't an experience anywhere like a trip on the Grand Canal of Venice. St. Mark's Square in Venice, or Piazza San Marco, is truly the heart of the city. The traffic-free square inhabited by tourists and pigeons is a constant source of interest and excitement. Two major attractions of Venice are found here: the Basilica of St. Mark's and the Doge's Palace, as well as the fun of shopping in its fabulous stores or meeting friends at the fashionable Florian Cafe while listening to a concert. There is never-ending beauty and fascination on the Piazza San Marco. St. Mark's Square in Venice is dominated by the Basilica of St. Mark's. The so-called Church of Gold is one of the greatest and most richly embellished churches of the world. A conglomeration of styles, the design is heavy Byzantium, but incorporates the Romanesque and Gothic as well. The Basilica is capped by a dome which sends off shoots to a quartet of smaller scale cupolas. Spanning the facade is a loggia surmounted by four famous St. Mark's horses, attributed to the 3rd and 4th centuries. On the facade itself are rich marble slabs and mosaics that depict scenes from the lives of Christ and St. Mark. This amazing church is what makes Venice truly a magnificent city. Our musical journey of Italy continues on to Verona, a city of great charm and beauty. Verona is made up of numerous piazzas or squares. These squares comprise much of the activity of the city in their busy markets and bustling businesses. The houses and buildings which surround these squares are of great interest, as are the statues and fountains by famous sculptors and artists. From the Piazza Bra, where we find the arena, to Verona's most famous square where we are standing, the Piazza dell'Erbe, you can see that the squares are the center of life in Verona. amphitheater in Verona is the second largest in the world, the Rome Colosseum being the largest. Famous for its opera in all its grandeur, this Colosseum dates back to the 1st century AD. And although there is no evidence that Christians were put to death here, the arena, which seats 20,000 people, has been the center of entertainment from the Roman games to opera to athletic competitions throughout hundreds of years. The Adige River meanders through Verona, surrounding and flowing through every part of it. Verona owes its very existence to the river and a great part of its history. The Adige is at the end of every street. It is impossible to imagine Verona without its river, without the bends in its river, without the famous Ponte Castelvecchia and the beautiful Ponte Pietra.
Not far from Verona is the beautiful city of Florence, famous for its art and culture. It is also the home of one of the world's great cathedrals, known as the Duomo. the town of Prato, near the city of Florence, stands another historical church, the Cathedral of St. Stefano. The church is famous for its pulpit, which stands on the outside of the church, as well as the murals and stained glass windows inside, with scenes of the saints and the life of Christ.
Thank you for joining us today on The Joy of Music as we have brought you a musical journey of Italy featuring the magnificent houses of worship. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week on The Joy of Music.
Diane Bish and the Joy of Music wish to thank Lufthansa German Airlines for their support in making this program possible.